then once you have, also try to include a feature in the editor where if you have a certain prop setup that you like, you can actually save the entire prop set off as a group and then import that into other modules for use. Like, so if you're doing your own like city module, or if you have to stock a lot of commoner houses or whatever, you can actually have a whole library of those things all stored away, and then you can just kind of paste them into various environments. And even once you paste them into those environments, you can actually modify them even further from that point on. So you can populate areas very quickly that way. But even as much customization as you can do with the interior tile sets, the real strength of the editor comes across with the amount of customization you can do for the exterior environments. And that's where the tool set really shines. One problem that Neverwinter 1 had was even though they provided tile sets for exterior locations, they still felt very much like tile sets. So is there any way they can turn that down? Like, it's seriously driving me crazy. What we try to do is bring the exterior environment tool sets more in line with standard RTS editors that are out in the market nowadays. We give the player for the tool set the ability to raise and lower terrain with paintbrushes, also to paint on various textures and sort of blend them together, paint down grass if they want, carve out riverbeds, and then paint water down. We also try to include a lot of options for how you modify these environments as well. For example, even the water, you can modify its choppiness, what direction it's flowing, what the viscosity is, and you can even change the color of that water too. And all those options allow you to do really crazy things with the environment. For example, thank you so much. For example, with the water you see here, you can actually slow it down to a very slow speed, increase the viscosity of the water, and then change the water to a molten red color, and then the end result is it looks like lava is being poured through the water. That's pretty awesome. Also, you can change the color of the water as well, so that you can change it to green and put some particle effects on top of it. And then it looks like an acid pool in the middle of an environment as well. So there's a lot of customization options you can do. You can also change the skybox and the actual daylight color that's coming down in the environment. So if you want to do like extra planar locations or like dream sequences or whatever, you can change all those colors around. Basically, our end goal was to include as many options as we could for the end users so they can do whatever they want with their modules. And we figured it was better to err on the side of creating more options than limiting module users. I'm using an isometric camera control here. It's generally how I prefer to play the game, but we recognize that people have different camera modes they prefer, so we've tried to include a lot of options in the game. So if you're used to the World of Warcraft or EverQuest style modes, we do support that in Neverwinter Nights too, and it does allow you to see more detail on the characters as well. I generally prefer the isometric view just because it gives me a more tactical grasp of the battlefield as a whole. And also, Neverwinter Nights 2 is very much a party-based game. It's the ability to see as much of the battle as possible and control your companions to do certain things. A higher camera view just allows you more flexibility with that. Also, one thing that Neverwinter Nights 1 did was a lot of the henchmen that joined your party had default AI behaviors that you could never but you basically had no direct control over them, which made some combats a little frustrating. Basically, we provide the option in Neverwinter Nights 2 that even though your companions will behave on their own and act individually, you also have the ability to directly control them as well. So if you want to assign them very specific commands, like for example, if you want your fighter to go guard the bridge, for example, you can send him over there, and then if you want your magic user to summon an animal companion to guard your fighter on the bridge, you can set up all those in queues, and then unpause the game, and then they're all good to run off and do their actions. And that ends up being an important tactical consideration for considering how many enemies you can end up fighting for some of the mass battles at the end of the game. I'm going to show you that next. A lot of the locations I've just done to show you what the tool set's capable of, and now I want to show you what some of the game mechanic stuff is capable of. One thing we've tried to do is give the player numerous feelings of advancement over the course of the game, and not just in terms of gaining levels or gaining items. We also want the player to gain more prestige and reputation in the Neverwinter City itself. And the way we do that is halfway through the game, you actually gain your own stronghold that you take away from one of your enemies. And once you have that stronghold in your possession, you can spend the last half of the game customizing it, gaining new recruits, training your soldiers, recruiting farmers, miners, blacksmiths, all to come join your keep and help join in the war effort. And then all the choices you make with your stronghold improves the morale of your troops, the equipment of your troops, and you can choose to do nothing with them at all. In which case, they're not going to be very well trained for the end battle. It's going to make a lot of combats there much more difficult. But the whole point is, the more love and attention you put into your keep and your fortress, it gives you more of a stake of what's going on in Neverwinter, and it also makes you feel more like a commander of a large series of forces too. And let's see. Without further ado, the setup for this battle here is you're actually on the battlements of your castle, and the enemy army is at the gates, and they're trying to break through your outer wall of defenses. You're actually commanding a series of troops in this battle that you help train over the last half of the game. So basically, battles like this one are the ones that determine exactly how effective your troops can actually be. We have really tried to go crazy with the spell effects and particle effects that people can place in the environments and also attach to various spell effects as well. In this particular battle, you're trying to fight off these siege towers that are approaching your battlement gates, and then trying to fight off all the troops that are trying to storm your castle walls. All the while trying to duck out various catapult fire that keeps bombarding, shelling your position. Over the past 2 months, one of our concept artists has been pretty much devoted to improving a lot of the spell and particle effects in the game. Mostly because we really wanted the player to feel like they're a spellcaster, where they cast various spells, and they want to feel really powerful, and they really unleash some of those 9th level spells against some of their enemies. That flaming mace I'm carrying is an example of how you can customize various items in the item editor to populate your own modules and various equipment for players to find. And just the flame effect is just one of the many particles that you can put on various items to torture your opponents. And also, priests have a special power. Also not very good at this battle, so. Also, priests have the ability to turn undead, which does damage to undead enemies when they unleash it. And sort of the blinding light effect that you saw there. Basically, this is just sort of an example of some of the more epic scale conflicts your character might find themselves in over the course of the game. And sort of some of the much more situations where pausing the game and sort of taking into account tactics ends up playing a pretty big role in some of the combats. So anyway, that's an example of some of the combat situations. Let me show you some of the ways you can customize interior environments. That first level that I showed you inside the house is a pretty tame location. These ones are a lot more interesting.